Mars.
Imagine this, standing on the barren plains of Mars without a spacesuit. Instead of choking on carbon dioxide, you're breathing fresh air under a striking blue sky. Grass bends gently beneath your boots as storms of dust are replaced by gentle rain showers. Can you picture it? Is this wishful science fiction or a glimpse of humanity's greatest achievement? Terraforming billions of years of desolation into a thriving home seems like an impossible feat. But here's the question at the heart of today's video. Could we actually turn Mars into our second Earth? And just as importantly, should we? So, get ready to explore the cutting-edge technology behind turning a frozen, radiation-soaked wasteland into a living planet. A bold scientific endeavor that might take centuries, but could make humanity a true multi-planetary species. Buckle up, space enthusiasts, because when it comes to terraforming Mars, reality might just be stranger and more extraordinary than fiction. Mars looks beautiful through telescopes and spacecraft photos, but let's not kid ourselves. It's dead. Absolutely, unarguably lifeless. Beneath that dusty red surface lies a hostile world that you, me, or literally anyone would never survive without serious intervention. Mars is basically the solar system's death trap for humans, and here's why. First, the atmosphere, or lack thereof. Mars's air is thinner than a balloon at the edge of space. It's 100 times thinner than Earth. Basically, if you stepped outside unprotected, your lungs wouldn't even recognize it as air. It's nearly all carbon dioxide, not oxygen. So yeah, not breathable. Second, Mars is cold. We're talking ridiculously cold, like minus 81 degrees Fahrenheit on average. Sure, summers near the equator creep above freezing, but most of the planet is locked in deep freeze mode year-round. Third, a showstopper, radiation. Without a magnetic field to shield it, Mars gets bombarded by cosmic radiation. We're talking levels so high, they'd make permanent human settlements unthinkable unless underground or heavily shielded. Oh, and don't forget the toxic soil filled with perchlorates that can seriously mess with oxygen production systems. It's no wonder Mars got nicknamed the Red Desert, right? But humans, we're stubborn creatures. We've stared down impossible challenges before, whether it was putting people on the moon or building cities powered by sunlight. Mars is scarier, but not untouchable. Scientists and engineers worldwide believe we can reshape it into something livable. How? Well, let's dive into the extraordinary technologies leading us closer to realizing this audacious dream. Let's start big. Imagine launching giant orbital mirrors into space. These mirrors would focus sunlight directly onto the planet's polar ice caps. Why? Because Mars does have water, frozen in solid ice caps at its poles. By melting that ice, we could release massive amounts of water vapor and carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, thickening it just enough to trap more heat. It's like jump-starting a greenhouse effect. More heat equals higher temperatures. Higher temperatures equals stability for liquid water, a key ingredient for life. But powering up an entire planet's climate system isn't as easy as tossing mirrors into orbit. The engineering challenges alone are staggering. They'd need perfect positioning, ultra-lightweight materials strong enough to survive space conditions, and decades to deploy. Sounds wildly ambitious, right? Welcome to terraforming. Next up, automated greenhouse factories. Picture squadrons of robots trucking across Mars, building vast sealed factories designed to pump out CO2. These greenhouses would mimic industrial plants here on Earth, producing high concentrations of gases that thicken Mars's atmosphere over time. As the planet slowly warms, humans could add another ingenious step, planting hardy vegetation capable of surviving harsh conditions. Envision trees growing near ancient Martian riverbeds, releasing life-giving compounds bit by bit into the dusty air. And speaking of biology, get ready for the ultimate sci-fi sounding solution, bioengineering. One answer to Mars' oxygen problem might come from extremophile bacteria. These tiny organisms are champions of surviving where life shouldn't exist. Acid pools, ice glaciers, you name it. Scientists believe we could genetically modify certain strains to thrive on Mars, converting CO2 into oxygen just like photosynthetic plants. That's right, we might teach alien-like microbes to terraform the planet for us. But as mind-blowing as bioengineering sounds, we're still missing one critical piece of the puzzle: fixing Mars' lack of protection against radiation. That brings us to NASA's bold proposition, the creation of an artificial magnetosphere. NASA suggests placing a gigantic magnetic shield at the L1 Lagrange point, which sits perfectly between Mars and the Sun, stabilizing gravitational forces. It's basically a radiation umbrella. This magnetosphere would reduce harmful surface radiation while kickstarting the possibility of holding on to a thicker atmosphere. Think of it as wrapping Mars in cosmic armor. Sounds doable, right? Well, here's reality coming to crash the party. All these solutions would require decades, even centuries to pull off. Giant orbital mirrors wouldn't appear overnight. Developing self-replicating bacteria that terraform an ecosystem is experimental at best. Not to mention, securing funding for what could cost trillions across generations requires long-term international collaboration. To manage expectations, no one alive right now will see a beautifully green Mars. Transforming an entire planet's atmosphere, temperature, and ecological systems isn't a weekend project. It's a project for patient visionaries willing to invest time and resources. But maybe that's the less complicated question here. The bigger one is philosophical. Should humanity even alter an entire planet for our needs? Once we change it, there's no undo button. We could destroy ancient ecosystems before understanding them, or create unintended consequences. What if engineered bacteria mutate and run rampant? We might inadvertently play cosmic villains rather than pioneers. And then there's the ethical elephant in the room. Mars doesn't belong to Earth. Who decides how or if we terraform it? Maybe the fundamental question isn't about the how of Mars, but the ethics of adding another planet to humanity's checklist. Despite the risks, many scientists and dreamers argue we'll need to terraform eventually, not just for survival, but because it's hardwired into us. Changing a lifeless planet into something thriving? That's human ingenuity at its grandest. It's the spirit that got us off Earth in the first place, to ask what if, then push limits until imagination turns into reality.
So now I leave this vision with you. Could you imagine waking up on a blue-skied Mars? Rivers carving new canyons, cities shining under sunsets unlike anything seen before, humanity bonded by resilience and exploration. Would you walk away from Earth's comforts knowing you may never return, and instead join history as one of the first settlers on a transformed planet? Drop your comments below. We want to know, would you take a one-way ticket to Mars?
Oh, and while you're here, don't forget to subscribe to BrainUp for more brain upgrading content. Who knows, you might find yourself dreaming bigger after our next video.